Well, good to have you back here. States battling to reopen, some doing it, some not. Michigan, where I live, it's been tougher than most. And for the most powerful voice for business in Michigan, the Michigan Chamber Business Brief. Today, joining me is Wendy Block, the Vice President of Business Advocacy and Member Engagement for the Chamber. Wendy, good to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
A number of efforts now underway to reopen Michigan. Tell me what's going on, because some of the places that need to reopen are offices and businesses, many that are hanging on by a thread.
Yeah, so a lot of attention has been given over the last month and really the last year to the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services orders. And those are the orders that closed restaurants and entertainment facilities and limited capacity at retailers, those sorts of things. But Michigan also has a very unique provision that prohibits in-person work in offices. And that rule was put in place by our MIOSHA department. It was first put in place actually by an emergency order, but then put in place by MIOSHA going back to October. And that rule is set to expire on April 14. But the concern here is that the governor can unilaterally decide to renew that rule to continue to prohibit in-person work for up to another 6 months. So we are trying to get the message out that it's time for the governor to rethink her office bans and to get all industries back to work and back to work safely.
Where does Michigan stack up against states in our neighborhood? I know that we're back at 50% occupancy in restaurants, but states like Indiana, Ohio, Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, none of those states have had any restriction on in-person dining, for example. So Michigan lagging behind all of these other states. I wonder how we stack up when it comes to working in person and so forth.
Yeah, so actually we can find no other example of a state in our nation that has a restriction like this
None.
one. And in fact, when we ask our colleagues in other states about it, they say, what? You have a rule like that? Most states say to employers, here are the safety protocols that you have to meet, and it is up to you to work with your employees in a union, if there's a unionized workplace, to figure out what that means and whether employees are working in person, working remote, some sort of hybrid, that sort of thing. But Michigan is saying, no, we're going to prohibit in-person work, and really that is what we're looking at here and targeting in on, is just this idea that this one size fits all, everything must work for everyone sort of mentality.
So Michigan was one of only 3 states that had restaurants closed as late as we did. Michigan's the only state you can find that has prohibitions on working in person in an office, and yet you can go to Costco and Home Depot and all the big stores, and they can have hundreds of people, but you can't go to your office and work. It's absolutely absurd. I guess I missed that in the flurry of all the closures and restrictions and mandates. I missed that somewhere, but that just seems to be a big barrier to success. How do we get back on track if everybody's prevented from doing the job the way the company wants to function? Now, if they want to do it from home and virtual, that's one thing, but if they want to work together because it builds a team atmosphere or whatever it might be, they should be allowed to do that now, not April 14th, not more than a month from now, but now. Am I wrong?
Yeah, we would totally agree, Steve. And, that this is not just about employers. This is about employees, feeling a sense of isolation, maybe facing some mental health issues just because they've been on an island here for the last month working at their kitchen table. It's about innovation and collaboration. It's about our cities and downtowns who are relying on a critical mass of people to come into our city centers every day. So we have a lot of our cities that are facing severe financial stress as a result of this, and the businesses in those areas not getting the customers that they need to stay afloat. And, again, this really kind of comes back to letting these decisions rest in the individual workplace, letting employers know what the rules are. And I think, at this point, everyone is comfortable with the preparedness and response plan. They've bought the PPE. They understand that people need to be wearing masks in the workplace in many situations, and that social distancing is the rule. They want to be able to put those safety protocols to use and to say to employees, look, we want to create a plan together that involves some in-person work.
Sure.
and to work with the employee who may be fearful about coming back. But those conversations can't even be had now. You have to say, sorry, regardless of whether you want to come in, the rule says you can't.
Some of the collateral damage obviously would be in downtowns where restaurants and other industries are not seeing the influx of people coming back to the office, so therefore the restaurants aren't getting the business. The other shops, the dry cleaners, whoever's in these downtown areas don't get the business they would normally get, so those are being damaged. I also see from Gentex, a Zealand-based Michigan company, high-tech company, says because they're not working together, it's curtailed research and development in a way that they're not working on new projects and platforms for their company. And that's just one easy example of this is why we need a team environment, because we get together and talk about new product development. It's not happening. And so there must be a lot of examples.
Yeah, there sure are. And that's really what's amazing here is on our website, reopenmichigansafely.com, there's an area for people to share their story. And the Gentex story that you mentioned is just one of many stories that have kind of come out of this. But on the same website, people can sign a petition to get involved. There's a phone number for the governor's office and an email for the governor's office because, like many of these orders, these firmly in our governor's hands. And we need people to elevate their voice, to make their voice heard with the governor's team, because we know they're leaning towards extending this for up to another 6 months.
Based on what? You just said there's not another state that does this, Wendy. I can't imagine why Michigan thinks that somehow we need to block working in an office when no other state in America is doing it. I'll give you quickly the last word.
Yeah, so we would encourage your listeners to visit our website, reopenmichigansafely.com, and to look at all the things that are there. But we would especially encourage them to sign the petition and to make their voice heard with the governor and her team to rethink this rule and to allow offices and other industries to more fully reopen safely.
Wendy Block from the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, greatly appreciate it. You can find out more also at michamber.com, michamber.com. This is The Steve Gruber Show.